Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, we're trying to confirm reports on whether or not a prisoner committed suicide here at the Bahamas Department of Corrections this morning. I'm Altavise Munnings. That story coming up.
A man accused of murder and arson makes his first court appearance. We'll tell you all about it coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
Grossly indecent. Find out why these women went to court today. The Bahamas tonight. The national report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
ZNS News has confirmed reports reaching our newsroom this morning that a prisoner was found dead in his cell. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. We can now tell you that intensive investigation has begun into the death of one of the country's most wanted men who was incarcerated for several serious crimes.
Yes, Altavise Munnings has been following the story and reports tonight from the Bahamas Department of Corrections in Fox Hill.
When we arrived here at the Bahamas Department of Corrections in Fox Hill early Tuesday afternoon, we tried to make an attempt to speak with Commissioner of the Correctional Services, Patrick Wright, to confirm reports reaching our newsroom that Jamal Eggy Gibson had committed suicide here this morning. Now, when we initially got here, we weren't able to speak with the commissioner as he said he was going to issue a statement later. Well, now I have that statement in my hand about an hour and a half later, and I will read it to you now. At about 5:45 a.m. today, remanded inmate Jamal Gibson was found unresponsive in his cell. The commissioner's statement goes on to say that the institution's medical officer was contacted and on arrival conducted an examination. At the conclusion of the examination, the inmate was pronounced dead. Mr. Wright noted that the cause of death is not known at this time. The statement goes on to say that Her Majesty's coroner and the Royal Bahamas Police Force were contacted. The matter is under investigation and no further information is available at this time. Commissioner Wright concluded his statement that all other inmates at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services remain in custody. Now, other sources close to this matter informed us that Eggy Gibson was in a cell by himself and he was on remand here at the Bahamas Department of Corrections on 2 counts of murder. This is a developing story. ZNS News will continue to follow. Reporting from the Bahamas Department of Corrections in Fox Hill, I'm Altavise Munnings, ZNS Network News.
Thanks so much, Alto. The issue of crime continues to be a challenge for authorities. Addressing the issue, the National Security Minister telling our Janae Noel Ferguson that the solution involves a change in mindset of young people and a community effort.
Accused persons released on bail have added to the increasing murder count, as not long after their release, they end up dead on the streets. It's an issue of concern for National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage, who says they're offered protection by police, but they refuse it.
Sometimes when people get bail, we know that they're going to be targets, and so we try to give them some protection, witness protection, for example, because the retaliations are usually when someone gets killed and someone is suspected of doing it, or someone is suspected of being a witness who will appear in court. These are people who are targeted, and so we try to offer them protection, but a lot of them refuse it. Yeah, and their values are different from ours, and they want to be with the boys, or some. It appears that some of these young men see this violence as a badge of honor or proof of commitment to their group or to their gang.
With the murder count at 45 for the year, the National Security Minister admits that crime continues to be a mounting challenge, especially among young men.
We've had a number of interventions recently with parents groups, church groups. I'm talking to them because unless and until we get a change in attitude, heart, and performance of our young men, we're going to continue to have these issues.
There's also another demographic where there has been an increase in crime. Nottage says that area is hard to predict and difficult to guard against.
The problem that we're having is there seems to be an increase in domestic violence and violence against women, and these are much more difficult to predict, you know. But we are working very, very diligently, and I anticipate that we will see a positive outcome from the work that we're doing in due course.
Meanwhile, the National Security Minister says the new gang unit established within the Royal Bahamas Police Force is doing its part to assist in the crime fight. But he says you can expect for new crime fighting strategies to be rolled out soon. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Charges stemming from an incident last year were officially brought against a 33-year-old man today. And as Jimenita Swain tells us, he was called to face murder and arson charges in the magistrate's court.
33-year-old Vernon Smith was called to answer charges of murder and arson on Tuesday. The resident of Richmond Street in Adelaide appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt to answer those charges. Particulars of the case as read by the Chief Magistrate allege that between May 26, 2014 and May 28, 2014, Smith caused the death of an unknown male. A second count alleged that between the 27th of May 2014 and the 28th of May 2014, the accused intentionally and unlawfully set fire to the dwelling house of Hartwick Penn in Adelaide Village. A total of 11 witnesses are expected to be called in the case. The Chief Magistrate informed Smith that he was not required to enter a plea to either of the indictable offences. Additionally, Ferguson Pratt informed Smith that the Crown intended to proceed by way of a voluntary bill of indictment, which means that there will be no preliminary inquiry in the matter. Instead, the case will be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court for trial. Smith is expected to be served with those documents at noon on July 15th. Until that time, he will be remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Jimenita Swain, ZNS Network News.
14 women, 12 Jamaicans, and 2 Bahamians were charged, along with the owner of Club Pure nightclub, in a magistrate's court this afternoon on a number of counts.
40-year-old Jamaican national Omar Gordon of Sayers Road was denied bail after pleading not guilty to opening beyond the licensed hours, playing loud music, refusing to allow peace officers on his premises, failing to display a business license, and 14 counts of abetment. It's alleged that the accused aided 14 young women in committing a grossly indecent act while at his club. They are Jamaican nationals 28-year-old Roxanne Brooks, 19-year-old Kenya Gale, 30-year-old Simone Henry, 32-year-old Elise Davis, 24-year-old Dana Bryan, 27-year-old Nakisha Evans, 33-year-old Marsha Henry, 34-year-old Cleo Avagana, 32-year-old Kenry Ann Kelly, 26-year-old Crystal Jones, 24-year-old Shamilia Dale, 39-year-old Karen Darling, and Bahamians Ameria Colley and Rakia Rose. This is not the first time, though. The club owner has appeared before the judge on similar charges, and Magistrate Andrew Forbes denied him bail for that reason. In less than a month, Gordon has appeared before the court for similar charges. Now, in the case of the accused women, all of them pleaded not guilty to committing a grossly indecent act while at the Madeira Street nightclub last Saturday. The prosecution objected to bail on a number of grounds, including the investigation of a suspected human trafficking ring. Kelly, Darling, Davis, Jones, Bryan, Gale, and Brooks also pleaded not guilty to allegedly dancing without a work permit. On a separate count, Brooks, Davis, and Bryan also pleaded not guilty to overstaying their time. Now, while the prosecution objected to bail, both Bahamian defendants were granted $2,000 bail with one surety, and Jamaican Karen Darling was also granted cash bail of $1,500. The remaining defendants will have to wait until Friday to find out if they will be granted bail, as a number of their statuses were still unclear. A July 15th date has been set to hear all of the matters. Attorney Jomo Campbell is representing all of the accused.
Still at court, a magistrate has sentenced Dr. Linwood Brown to 8 months probation after she convicted him of sexually assaulting a 38-year-old paramedic back in September of 2010. The court also ordered Brown to complete 40 hours of community service, and he'll be on probation for 8 months as well. However, if he breaks the law during his probation, Brown will be sent to prison. Magistrate Gilomena Archer also ordered Brown to pay $1,500 to the Children's Emergency Hostel and $1,500 to the Ranfley Home for Children. He'll also have to complete his community service at the Good Samaritan Senior Citizens Home or the Ranfley Home for Children. The court still wasn't finished with Brown, ordering him to pay $550 towards the victim's legal costs, as the matter was a private prosecution. In sentencing Brown, Magistrate Archer told Brown his actions were reprehensible and out of order, and he should have known better. Meantime, he has until the end of May to make the payments and complete the community service. He returns to court on June 3rd to provide what he had been ordered to do. Attorney Ramona Farquharson Seymour represented the complainant. Brown was initially cleared of the charge. However, it was overturned and sent back to the magistrate court for a new hearing.
Fire starter found out how this man found out his car was on fire.
Black Tuesday. Tonight we remember a major day for equality in the Bahamas. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by the new Shell and Lettuce, designed for extra miles.